record. And Attorney Hitchcock-Cross, you can continue with your examination of Ms. Tate.
Great. Ms. Tate, do you know anybody who is directly employed by MPS in the food service assistant role?
Yes, yes, I do.
Who do you know in that who is employed by MPS in that role?
I met women that are staff at Vincent that works there. So recently Carol Bell
Okay.
and Ernestine Rayford, I met her last year when I started.
Okay, and to your knowledge, so they're actual MPS employees.
Ernestine has resigned, but yes, she was hired after I started, and then when I returned in August, I met Carol Bell.
Okay, but just so we're clear, you have worked. Did you work alongside Miss Bell or Miss Rayford while you were employed as a temporary employee working in food service at MPS?
Yes.
Okay, and during that time, both of them were MPS direct employees, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Carol is still a direct employee.
Okay. And to your knowledge, are they doing the same work that you're doing?
Ernestine was, and Carol still is. Yes.
Okay. And to be clear, that's preparing food for some substantial number of thousands of students.
Yes.
Okay. And are they directed by the same management?
Yes.
Okay. In other words, is your work supervised by the same people as Miss Bell or Miss Rayford's work?
The direct supervision is the manager, Kathy, but upper management would be because we work for two different companies. My absences and that will be called into the temp company, and their absences will be called into central office. But other than that, no, there's nothing.
Well, then I'll ask you this. Is it an MPS employee who's directing your work while you're working there?
Yes.
Okay, and is it an MPS employee who's directing Miss Bell or Miss Rayford's work while they were working there?
Yes.
Okay. And then, so to the extent that the actual work is being directed by MPS, the benefits, the time off, all of those things are being communicated to you by the other company. Is that correct?
I have no benefits.
Sorry, but fair enough. If you need to take off time off or other things
I
along
would
those
call
lines.
the other company.
Okay.
Yes. I would call my employer.
Okay. And during this time, do you know whether or not Miss Rayford or Miss Bell was earning more money than you?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
They were.
And let's say, were you ever advised after you retired to apply for MPS, to apply to MPS?
Yes.
Okay. And did anybody advise you that if you applied to MPS, there was a possibility of retaliation because you had already filed an ERD complaint?
Yes.
Okay. Can you explain how that happened, please?
During
I'm going to
my
object as if out form of the question, she didn't identify who this alleged individual was.
Great. Let's identify who that individual was, please.
Judge Wasserman.
Okay. Can you explain to me what was communicated to you?
During my first complaint, during the settlement, it was Attorney Yan, Jenny Yan, didn't want me in the settlement, said that we would be willing to do part of what Ms. Tate wants if she agrees not to be directly hired or not to work for MPS again. And I said no. I refused to agree not to work for MPS again. And Judge Wasserman asked why. And I said, because I don't know where my path might take me. I may have to go back and work there, and I don't want to close that door. And she said, Miss Tate, if you apply for a job and you know you're qualified for that job and you don't get hired, file a retaliation complaint right away, because that's retaliation. And I said, okay.
Okay. And did that statement influence you in filing this complaint here today?
Yes.
Okay. Just for evidentiary purposes, Judge, can we look at exhibits, the Goodwill Talent Bridge Food Service Assistant descriptions? I believe
Okay.
it's 12.
Judge, for the purposes of the record, this document also was not turned over to me.
Okay, have you seen this document? Oh, I'm sorry, Judge. Excuse me.
So what documents did you get, Attorney Headley?
I received the complaint as it's labeled, but that complaint, as an FYI, is ERD case number 2020-00224, which, looking at it, is the first complaint, not the instant complaint. I received the position statement from the Milwaukee Public Schools, which is labeled, I believe, as Exhibits 3. The employee position statement exhibits, which is what you had been previously on. It was a 12-page document with various exhibit numbers handwritten in the corners. I received MPS's position statement exhibits, a transcript from Yashika Spears from a different case that's inapplicable to this, complaint findings, a JPEG complaint findings from Therese Freiberg, a MPS's copy, or an answer of MPS's copy, MPS's answer, and that is it. And I received them in two separate emails, one on Wednesday, November 23rd from Mr. Hitchcock Cross at approximately 10:22 a.m. after I had asked for said exhibits to be received. And the second set of exhibits I received came from a individual named Guadalupe Zendejas, and that was sent to me at 3:30 p.m. on Friday, the 25th. So
you got the additional ones? This is after 12. You got everything up to 11 or something else?
According to
Ms.
what she
Hitchcock-
said, I think she got up to 8, but I don't even
Correct.
think she got through 1 through 8. It sounds like she got 1, possibly 2 or 3. Did you get the respondent's position statement or the complainant's position statement or both?
I got respondent's position statement.
I think that's
I'll tell you how
2.
they're labeled. No, it's number 3. So I have complaint number 1 is it's labeled to me at least number 1, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6. I got number 7 twice. I got number 8 twice. That was from the email that Miss Zendejas sent to me in terms of, and that's again on Friday, the 25th. On the 23rd, which is the email that I received directly from Attorney Hitchcock Cross, I've received 1, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So in terms of making clarity for the record, those are the documents that I received. I submit that anything that I didn't is not in compliance with DWD policy.
And did you want to
And
respond to
request-
that?
And would request that it's
Well, I guess first of all, I think we don't the talent. I mean, we don't need to get the talent bridge 12 in there. I think the personal file is already in. The main thing here is the one that I would challenge is the grievance disposition summaries. I think that there's 15 and there's A, B, and C, if that seems right. Those are again all documents from them. I don't know what the transmission issue is. It seems like we had it twice here. I attempted to send it, and so did my paralegal. But I don't, I mean, there's the main issue here is prejudice, and they can't really be prejudiced about their own internal documents. Again, here, this grievance disposition summary is, I mean, these are documents filed by party opponents by their own self, by the party. And really the only fact that they're being put into evidence here is that they say that complainant requests that the incident report be removed, and their decision that the incident report will be removed from the complainant's file.
I don't think there's been any testimony about those exhibits yet. And just with regards to the personnel files, I know you said to show her exhibits 13 and 14. I don't believe she testified about anything in exhibit 13. In exhibit 14, it was just a few pages, those last few pages. So for purposes of what's been received, the only things I guess that I would receive are just the pages that she testified about. And I'll note your objection, Attorney Headley, that you didn't receive them.
Okay, no, I understand. Right, I mean, that's what we were pointing your attention to, and I think we're on the same page, Judge. Thank you. So we'll just
Are we finished with this? Because I do want to add something else about the 13 through 15 exhibits.
Sure, go ahead.
Please.
You may. Those were never turned over during discovery. I have not witnessed those. I have not seen those exhibits at all, full stop. I have no idea what they are. I have not been privy to them because, as far as I'm aware, it could have been any amount of grievance policy. It could have been anything in the file. So in terms of being prejudiced, I will 100% put on the record that this is an incredibly prejudicial document. If at bare minimum 13 through 15 come in, I have not looked at them. I don't know what they are. And that's not through any, not looking through or not prepping on my end. That's because I did not receive them from complainant.
Well, did you challenge whether these documents were in her personnel file?
Mr. Hitchcock, that's not what I was referring to. I'm talking about number 13 through 15. I don't know what they are, full stop. You have not provided them to me.
Can you get them to her, Attorney Cross?
Absolutely. 13 through full stop is, I would say, inaccurate to say the least. I'll have to go to another computer, but so this again, 13 and 14 are documents that she herself provided to the complainant. And where we're talking about she herself, we're not talking about MPS, we're talking about Ms. Headley herself provided to the complainant. So for her to sit here and say full stop, she doesn't know what they are, is not credible. Now, going on to 15, it's my understanding that it is in the personnel file, and we can look for that. I'd be happy to provide them for her. I will go to another terminal immediately and send those forthwith, if you'll excuse me.
Sure, we'll go off the record then.
So you gonna mute us?
Smart. I sent the documents to both of you.
Yep, I just received them. Did
Perfect.
you? I don't know if Attorney Headley's there. We'll ask
I
her
don't
when
know.
she pops up.
Somehow I made the pictures smaller, and hopefully that solved that issue.
So did you receive that email, Attorney Headley, with exhibits 13, 14, and 15?
I received an email. Yes, I have not been able, obviously, to look at them to determine their veracity or their accuracy or anything to that end.
Okay.
Okay.
So your objection's noted, and as I stated, right now, I haven't received exhibit 13 in the record. And the only documents I think that we talked about were pages, at least according to my entire thing, the last three exhibits or the last three documents in exhibit 14, and there's been no testimony so far about exhibit 15.
Great. We are going to talk about exhibit 15, and then hopefully we're done, just to roadmap it here.
Okay, I can bring that up on the screen.
Great. Ms. Tate, have you seen this document before?
Yes,
What is that document?
that's disposition form from the complaint that I filed against actions being taken against me.
Okay, and this was while you were employed at MPS?
Yes,
Okay, and there's a highlighted section there.
yes.
What does that indicate?
complaint request the incident report be removed. And then, the decision was made that the complaint was granted and the incident report shall be removed from the complainant's file.
And who was copied on this?
Carrie Ludwig, well, I don't know where, it's at the bottom. Oh, names of the individuals, okay, Carrie and Ken McIntyre.
Okay, and those are your supervisors at that time?
Ken is my immediate on the grounds building supervisor, and Carrie is the building manager in charge of the fleet.
And do you know who signed this document?
Emily looks like.
Okay, can we go to the next one, please? 15B. Great. And have you seen this document before?
Yes,
Okay, and what is this document?
it's a complaint of a different complaint I made against actions being taken against me.
Okay, and the outcome of that, one of the outcomes of that is that the second offense shall be removed. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay.
and the suspension was lowered.
Good, thanks for that
It was
clarification.
reduced.
Can we go to the third one, please? Have you seen this document before?
Yes,
Okay, is this a similar document to the other ones?
yes,
Okay, and it says as a result, the 5-day suspension will be reduced to a 3-day suspension with the dates to be determined on your return from continuous FMLA leave. Is that right?
correct.
Okay, and it also says the second offense was included in error. Is that right?
Yeah, they conceded to error, yes.
Okay, and so there was 3 people copied on this one: Tyrone Kendrick, Carrie Ludwig, and Kenneth McIntyre. Correct?
Correct.
Okay, who is Tyrone Kendrick, if you know?
He is also a supervisor. He's not my supervisor, but if he's in my building, if he is physically in my building, he is my supervisor for that moment.
Okay, and did you, based on this outcome and based on your review of the personnel file that was given to you by Ms. Headley, did you believe that documents from your complaints were in your personnel file?
Prior to her sending them, I didn't believe it, but when she sent them, I saw that they were.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I will pass the witness.
Sure. You can go ahead with your cross-examination, Attorney Headley.
Good morning, Ms. Tate.
Good morning.
My apologies. I have a couple questions for you. Just to reiterate or to clarify your testimony, you started your employment with MPS according to your testimony previously in 1989, correct?
I started my employment with MPS, I believe in 91. I worked for the city prior to that. And they're all a city entity. I just transferred over to MPS. So I believe 91, I actually put my feet in MPS. I transferred over.
So you clarifying your prior testimony that you actually began employment with Milwaukee Public Schools in 1991?
I'm thinking 90, 91, somewhere in there, 89, 90. I was with the city of Milwaukee. And it's all the city.
Your perception is the Milwaukee Public Schools and the city of Milwaukee is the same employer, just out of curiosity? Yes or no?
Yeah, the Milwaukee Public Schools, we're city.
Okay, no, thank you. There's no question pending, Ms. Tate. Then you retired in January of 2021. Is that correct?
2021, yes.
Okay. Now, your prior testimony stated that you were always going to retire, correct?
Yes,
So you had no plans to work class 2021 as a school engineer, correct?
correct. If I could retire early, yes.
Correct, ma'am. There's no
Correct.
question
I'm
pending.
sorry, correct.
Excuse me, it's just to the general objection. The witness does not have to answer questions yes or no. She's entitled to her answer. And I mean, she can give an answer yes if that's the answer. She can also clarify and give more of an answer. The city cannot cut her off in her answer.
Well, actually, that's not true. If it's a yes or no answer, she's just supposed to give a yes or no. I should say, if the question poses an answer that's just a yes or no, that's what she's supposed to answer. You'll have the opportunity to do redirect, and you can allow her to go into additional things if she wants to.
Thank you, Judge. You previously testified that you had filed 2 internal complaints. Do you recall giving that testimony?
Yes,
The first, I believe you said, was general bullying. Is that correct?
harassment and bullying, yes.
And that was against specifically Miss Carrie. I'm blending individuals' names in my head.
Carrie Ludwig.
Thank you, Judge. I have another Carrie in my head. So is that against that was initially against Carrie Ludwig, is that correct?
Carrie Ludwig, not just Carrie. I added the 2 supervisors in with her.
Okay. And you previously testified that internal complaint you received a disposition for, is that correct?
Yes,
You had testified that your complainant's exhibit 7, I believe, was the answer, was the not the answer, I apologize, was the disposition from that complaint?
I don't know if there's been testimony about Exhibit 7.
Okay, Judge, I'm sorry, can you pull up Exhibit 7 for me, please?
Sure.
And by Exhibit 7, I mean complainant's Exhibit 7, not respondent's Exhibit 7.
Right.
Thank you. Do you recall seeing this?
yes,
So you previously testified that this letter.
Hold on, sorry, you're breaking up.
Yeah, your sound got really weird, Attorney Headley. There's like an echo and almost like a buzzing going on.
Is that better?
No.
No.
There's a fan going. My computer's fan is on, so that's probably the buzz that you are hearing. It should pop off here momentarily. Is it problematic?
Yeah, because you hear that more so than your voice, and you're breaking up then.
I couldn't understand the question.
Just give me 1 second, Judge. We might, let me go off. We go off real quick.
Sure.
Sure.
So I'm gonna let her back in and see if that makes a difference in the sound quality. Do you want to try saying something, Attorney Headley? I think it's better now.
That's better now? Fantastic. Mr. Hitchcock Cross, thank you for the bit of advice on logging out and logging back in. Judge, if you want me to, I can manipulate the screen. That might be easier.
Whatever, if you want to do it, you can, but I think I'm got the exhibit back up, Exhibit 7 that you were going to ask her about.
I was going to say, do you see in front of you, this is what's been previously marked as complainant's Exhibit 7?
yes,
Now Now, earlier you testified that this was a letter from Yashika Spears. Do you recall giving that testimony?
Yes,
At the bottom here, does that letter say that it is from Yashika Spears?
no,
Does that letter say that is in fact from Therese Freiberg?
yes,
Okay. Now, earlier you also testified that this letter, or the letter that you received from Yashika Spears, stated that there was retaliation. Do you recall giving that testimony?
yes.
Okay. Now, it looks to me like this highlighted part reads, however, the evidence did reveal retaliation as a possible motive for action taken against you once Ms. Ludwood learned that you had filed a complaint. Did I read that correctly?
Yes,
Okay. Does that letter state that retaliation was the reason for the action taken against you?
Objection, it calls for speculation.
You can answer the question, Ms. Tate.
yes.
Where do you see it state retaliation is the reason for the action taken against you?
It doesn't say retaliation is the. It says it shows the evidence showed that actions taken against me were the actions taken against me were out of retaliatory because she found out when she found out I filed a complaint against her.
Okay, I think you and I are looking at two different documents then. Because the document in front of me states that the evidence did reveal retaliation as a possible motive. Do you understand? Can you
Yes,
and I agree?
I see what you're reading. I see the same thing. I'm reading the same thing.
Okay, so it says a possible motive. It doesn't say the motive, correct?
It doesn't say the motive.
Okay, thank you.
Yashika Spears
Thank you.
told me.
There's no question
I
pending.
did speak with Yashika Spears, and she clarified it.
Ms. Tate, there is no question pending.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So your previous testimony, just to be clear, was that the letter stated that was the motivation, correct?
I say that again.
Your previous testimony was that the letter stated retaliation was the reason for any action taken against you, correct?
The actions taken against me were retaliatory. Yeah, the actions
But the
taken
letter,
against me
but
were not
in
retaliation.
actuality, does the letter say that?
Yes, to me it does.
Okay, to you it does. Thank you. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
You also testified that you had a second internal complaint. Do you recall giving that testimony?
Yes,
Okay. Now there was much testimony about the outcome of that. Rather, some day suspension, you got that reduced, correct?
I didn't hear you.
There was testimony that you initially had a larger period of time for suspension, which then was reduced, correct?
Yes, correct.
And you also testified that you didn't serve a day of that, correct?
Correct.
Okay. When I'm going to jump forward here. When you applied for the food service position, the food service assistant, did Laquita Hoskin tell you that you would 100% get the job?
No,
Okay. Did anyone tell you, or let's strike that. Did anyone tell you that the job would be contingent upon a job interview?
no.
Can everyone see my screen?
Okay, now we can.
Thank you. Thank you, Judge. I am showing you what's been marked as Respondents Exhibit 7. It's a letter dated August 10th, 2021. You'd actually previously testified to this, as you have this as part of your exhibits. Do you recognize this letter?
I can't see.
We can't see that, unfortunately.
Can you zoom in a little bit, Attorney Headley?
You know what, Judge? I can. I'm sorry for saying that, but let me go ahead and do this. I'll bring it to a different screen. I have three different screens. One is vertical, which is how I prefer to see these, but obviously that's not the beneficial for y'all to see it. How about now?
Yep.
Much better?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fantastic. Then I will use this screen. It's probably good. So is this a letter dated August 10th? That's written directly to you?
Yes.
Okay. You previously have seen this letter?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. This second paragraph here. In the upcoming weeks, you will be contacted by the Department of School Nutrition to schedule an interview. It is important that you dress professionally for the interview and arrive 5 to 10 minutes early. This interview will be the final step in the hiring decision. Did I read that highlighted portion correctly?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So you were informed.
Yeah, I was informed, but I didn't discuss it with anyone. I was sent a letter.
So you were aware that the job was contingent upon an interview.
Yes, I was aware that an interview process would take place.
I understand that that you were aware that an interview would take place. That's not my question. My question is, were you aware that the job was going to be contingent upon an interview?
No, not contingent, no.
Okay. So was it your belief that you were going to get the job based on a civil service exam?
My belief was that there was different processes in the hiring process. So I was aware that there were different processes, different things to take place. I was aware of that. I didn't discuss it with anyone. I just, based on my knowledge of the put in an application and the process you go through, I knew that there would be a test, interview, scoring, and things like that. I was aware of that. I didn't discuss it with anyone, though.
Understood. That wasn't my question about the discussion, and I appreciate that. My question is is it your testimony here that you were not aware that the job offer was going to be contingent on your successful interview?
No, I didn't believe yes, I believe that that based on the interview and the test scores, all of that will be added together. Everything will be added together, not just on my interview.
Okay. Are you familiar with how the civil service exam process works?
Very.
Okay. Are you familiar that everybody who's minimally qualified and meets a minimum qualifications gets offered an interview?
You have to score high enough to be able to get an interview. Yes.
Okay. And then
you have to score high enough on the written exam in order to qualify for an interview.
And that was your understanding of how this process worked when you applied, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
That you had to score high to get an interview, and then you had to have an interview, not score high or low, but score decent on there. So I knew that.
Okay, so I want to clarify that latter part of your testimony, because you've used the term score twice in that answer, and I want to make sure that I understand what you're trying to tell me, okay? So you said you have to score high enough to pass the test to get offered an interview, correct?
Yes, you do.
Okay, and then is it my understanding that your testimony here today is that you also have to score high enough in the interview in order to get offered a job?
I don't know if you have to score high enough or high. You have to do well. I don't know if there's a scoring or not, but you have to do well on the interview to add that into the score, the ranking, and to be offered a position.
Okay, so is it your testimony that you understand this process as it exists, that as it existed in 2021 at the time in which you applied for this position, is that the interview score would somehow be connected to the civil service examination score, and then from there you would be offered a job?
Yes. I
Okay.
felt like I scored high enough to get an interview. I did well on the interview, and the interviewer told me to expect to hear from them within a week or so.
Okay, I understand that. I'm going to move to strike the latter part of the narrative as unresponsive. So my question is it your understanding, is it your belief, just again, so I'm clear, is it your belief that in order, is it your belief that the civil service examination plus the interview, we'll call it ranking or score or denotation, equals job offer?
If all is well, yes.
Okay. And you base that on, you said, prior knowledge or experience?
Both, yes.
Okay. Have you ever worked in HR?
Not for Milwaukee Public Schools, no. No, I have not.
Have you ever worked in HR in other capacities?
Yes.
Have you, and how so? Have you worked as an HR rep?
I had to do some volunteer work, and I volunteered and worked in the office at a company, but it was voluntary. So I just observed and did some filing and just asked questions and stuff, but I never hired or interviewed anyone.
Okay, so you've
for
never
a position.
hired or interviewed anyone for purposes of employment?
Correct.
And to be fair, and to be clear, you've never hired or interviewed anybody for purposes of public employment specifically?
No, I have not.
Okay. I'm going to turn your attention to your interview, which I believe we've previously identified as occurring on August 19th, 2021. Does that sound accurate to you?
Yes.
Where is that for my reference, please?
Where is what?
The interview.
The date of the interview?
No, I thought we were turning to that document.
No, I'm not turning to that document. I'm turning to a different document, which is about to pull up. It's quite all right. I was referring to the date of the interview occurring on August 19th, 2021, which is, I believe, is, in several documents. If you want me to point out one, I can. Attorney Hitchcock Cross.
I had assumed you were pulling up an exhibit, so I wanted to be there with you.
Oh, certainly. Well, I am now, and I will pull up R10 interview notes.
Great,
Now,
thank you.
Ms. Tate, can you see this okay?
Yep.
All right. Have you ever seen this document? And I'll
Yes.
scroll down so you can see it as a 2-page document with a series of written, typed questions and then handwritten notes. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. And I believe you just testified that you have seen this document before, correct?
Yeah, it was sent to me, yes.
Okay. And when you say it was sent to you, at what point in time was this sent to you?
I believe you sent it to me.
So is it post the filing of your ERD complaint at issue here, the 2021 ERD complaint?
It's the ERD complaint. It was, I believe, Judge Serge had you send it to me.
Okay. So
With my
prior
file.
to the fall of 2022. Have you seen this document before?
The fall of, before fall, no.
Okay, thank you. So there's a series of typed questions. I believe you and I have previously identified. There's 13 typed questions. Is that correct?
Yes.
Would you agree that these are the questions that were posited to you in your interview?
You saying, did she ask me those questions? Is
Correct.
that what you're asking? She did ask me, these questions.
But we can go through them if you want.
No, I'm clear.
Okay. So these are the questions, and is it a fair let me strike that. Is it fair to say that your response to being asked what experience you had in working in food service operation was that when you helped out at church and with community functions?
Yeah, yeah.
Thank
That's
you.
fair to say I said that.
Is it fair to say that when you were asked why you were interested in the food service position, you said that you had been an employee for 35 years?
Yeah, what you mean, employee?
An MPS employee for 35 years. I apologize, I didn't read that correctly.
I have been there for 30 plus years.
Okay. Is it fair to say that you told Miss Slotin-Beauchamp that you were retired?
Yes, I did tell her I was retired.
Did you inform her that you were bored?
Yes, but I added that I was bored because my mother had passed away, and I spent most of my time caring for her, but she had passed. And so I become bored and wanted to get back into the job, get back into the workforce.
Sure. And I believe you previously testified that you and Miss Slotin-Beauchamp actually exchanged a series of condolences regarding the passing of your mother and her mother. Is that correct?
And she informed me that she cared for her mother as well. Yeah.
All right. You previously testified that you identified that you had seen what they did in the kitchen as an engineer. Is that correct?
Yes, I experienced. I've worked alongside them as they worked in the kitchen.
Okay. I want to continue on. So is that a fair and accurate representation of what you told Miss Slotin-Beauchamp?
Some of it, some of the stuff I said, I don't see written.
Okay. Is it but the things that are written are things that you have said.
Yeah, there.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, some of the things that I've said, yes.
Okay. And we could continue to go through this document if you want. But my understanding of it, has you reviewed this before today?
I've looked at some of the questions, and yes, I've looked at it.
Okay. And then the questions and the responses, do those generally indicate your responses? If not verbatim, then generally what you stated?
Objection, asked and answered.
You can answer, Ms. Tate, go ahead.
It's not all that I said. She didn't write some things that I said in reference to the question is not written there. So looks like she wrote what she felt was important to write.
Okay. And I believe you testified that the interviewer, and I'll represent you that is Miss Renee Slotin-Beauchamp, you testified that she was new to MPS. Is that correct?
That's what she told me.
Okay. And you'd been there for over 30 years, correct?
Correct.
And you had never dealt with her before, correct?
Not her, no.
Okay. So first time you met her, correct?
Yes.
You never had a previous conversation with her before August 19, 2021?
I had a conversation before August 19th. She's the one that called me and scheduled my interview.
But thank you for clarifying me. I really do appreciate your being able to be clear with us, and I do thank you. So prior to her phone call, to you
Mhm.
setting up the August 2019 or August 19th, 2021 interview, had you had any experience conversation or conversing with Miss Lan Beauchamp?
No, no,
You before August 19th, 2021, could you pick her out of a lineup?
no,
Today, as we sit here, can you pick her out of a lineup?
maybe.
Okay. So turning your attention to your conversation, and I want to clarify something that you said before I turn your attention to the last bit. Do you recall Attorney Hitchcock Cross asking you a question about discussing FMLA during your interview?
Yes.
Okay. I want to be clear with your testimony here because it was confusing to me, and it very well may be because it's on this end. So I just want to make sure that I understand what you're saying correctly. Or what my response was when I was writing this down is that you use the bulk of your FMLA and you didn't have any health insurance as a result of using a bulk of your FMLA.
When you use FMLA, you can either go unpaid, or you can use your sick time, or you can use your vacation, or both. And and you can decide how you want it, how you want to do it. And I chose to use my vacation and my sick time to care for my mother. And you have to be very careful when you use your sick time, because you have to maintain a certain amount to maintain your personal medical insurance. And so I flip-flop from vacation to sick time, um, being careful not to deplete my sick hours so that I will not have any insurance. So yes, once we had to maintain a certain amount of hours in order to have medical insurance when you retire. And I dropped down beyond that and was not able to get medical insurance for myself.
Okay. Thank you for that clarity. So it's not that you wouldn't have medical insurance while you were employed with MPS. It was
Oh, you
post.
have to have medical insurance when you're employed.
Okay. So that I just could, because the testimony was unclear as to what you meant by that.
Oh,
So
okay.
to be clear, I understand that you went back and forth between using vacation and sick time, and ultimately you dropped below a specific number of hours. It's your testimony here today that you could have received life or health insurance in your retirement had you maintained a specific number of hours of sick time,
Yes.
in addition to meeting other different criteria.
I met all the other criteria. I just didn't meet the sick hours criteria.
Understood, but I just wanted to be clear that there was other criteria. It wasn't just you had to have a certain amount of sick time built up
You
in your
mean to get
bank.
medical?
Correct.
You
In
had
your
to,
retirement.
that's the criteria. You had to have a certain amount of sick hours in order to receive, retire with your medical.
Okay. So, but in terms of doing that, then you also have to meet other qualifications in terms of, working for a specific number of years.
Yes.
Okay. So there's other criteria. It's
Yes.
not just, okay. That was my question. Thank you. So,
Mhm.
so you did have the option of having insurance, health insurance in your retirement from MPS, correct?
Oh, ask the question again.
You did have the option, whether or not you did have the option to have health insurance in your retirement through your employment with MPS.
I did have that option.
You
Yeah,
did have that option.
we
Thank
all
you.
have that option. Yeah, I had that option.
Correct. That was my question. I just wanted to ensure that I understood that you testified that you did have the option. Obviously, you didn't use that because you didn't meet a specific criterion. But you had that option. Is that correct?
No. No. I didn't have that option. I I mean, no, I didn't have the option of having that so that I could get insurance. No, I would no, I don't feel I had that option. No.
Okay. I'm going to turn now to the series of emails that you received from Miss Hoskin. Do you recall testifying that you were surprised that you received an email on Saturday, August 24th, 2021, that's post your interview, stating that unfortunately you were not going to be selected or not going to be offered a job?
What's the date?
August 24th, 2021. And in fact, I'll do this because it'll make it easier for you. I'll share what's been previously marked as Respondents Exhibit 11, which is a series of emails that was exchanged on August 2nd, 2000.
August 28th.
Yeah, my apologies.
Okay.
R12. No. You're 100% correct. Thank you for clarifying that for me, Miss Tate.
It's
So
good
this is-
because I gave her under strict instructions that she couldn't ask any questions, so she was, I think, challenged with that. So
No, I appreciate the clarifying question, and if you're confused as to what I'm asking, please feel free to ask me because I want to understand your testimony correctly. So R12, the email chain, August 28th, 2021, this is again previously marked as R12. So this is the series of emails that you exchanged. This is the one that started this.
You're not showing it, Attorney Headley.
Oh, I'm not?
No.
Well, that makes a lot of sense then, doesn't it? That's very confusing to all parties involved. I apologize. Thank you, Judge. So this is the email that started it, and I apologize for misrepresenting the date earlier on the record. So it's August 28th, Saturday, at about almost 1 p.m. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So this is a series of emails that took place post the interview. Now
After the interview, yes.
Yeah. Now you testified that you testified that you were surprised that you received this. Do you recall giving that testimony?
Yes.
Okay. And you stated that you were surprised because, and I wrote this down as a quote, "We don't do business on Saturdays." Is that an accurate representation?
Typically, the MPS tries to handle the business Monday through Friday. They typically don't send you whatever on a Saturday or Sunday. It's usually done Monday through Friday. So not only was I surprised to get it on a Saturday, I was surprised that I did not get the position.
Okay. So your surprise wasn't necessarily that the date that it was received, but just that you received this at all.
That I received it on a Saturday and that I received it at all. Yes.
A rejection. Okay. And you believe that you did well at your interview?
I was told I did well at my interview.
Respectfully, ma'am, that was my question. Did you believe that you did well at your interview?
Yes.
So earlier you had testified. Now I understand that you testified as to your exhibits, but I will represent to you that these are the same string of emails. Would you agree with that representation? And I'll scroll up so you can see them in their entirety.
Yeah, it's
Let me know when you're finished reviewing it.
I'm good. Yeah. It's
Okay.
what I got.
Okay, good. So you testified previously that you asked why I didn't get selected for this position and put it in writing. Then
Yes.
she responded to you literally that same day.
Yes.
You sent her an email about 2:00 in the afternoon. She responded about less than 20 minutes later, correct?
Yep.
Okay. She responded based on what it says here. Then you asked, what's in my file? Last time I checked, it was in good stand, or last checked, my file was in good standing. Did I read that correctly?
Yes, you read that correct.
Okay. And you responded almost immediately to her at 2:30 p.m.
And I'm just sorry, just for the record, did we skip over Ms. Hoskins' response originally? Because I just want to be clear that what she just said, what's in my file, last check my file was in good standing, was in response to what Ms. Hoskins had said.
Correct. And your client had previously testified to that.
Thank you. Excuse me.
So Saturday, August 28th, about 4 p.m., you received another email from Laquita Hoskin. Is that correct?
Yep. Yes.
And Laquita says that is all the information I was provided in the interview notes. Now we haven't had testimony on this, so that's why I wanted to get up here. Okay. She followed up by saying I wasn't given specific details. I'll represent that. I believe that's a typo, and it was supposed to say I was not given specific details. Do you see that in here?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you previously testified. You said they looked at my file. Who is they?
Who do I believe they is?
That's correct.
I believe they is the people who are the interviewing, the people who are doing the interviewing, the people who are assisting the people with the interviewing, the people in employee relations that could provide my file or provide information of my previous employment. Names. You want names? You want me to?
Yes.
Well, I feel like James Gordon had a play in that, and I feel like some I'm not sure. I would believe that the people in building operations, the supervisors, the Carrie Ludwigs. I don't believe it would have been Ken McIntyre or Tyrone. I believe the upper management speaks to the upper management. So Carrie Ludwig, James Gordon would speak to Miss Renee because she's new. She doesn't know anything about me or hasn't had any interactions with me. So she could not have made that decision to write whatever was in the notes because she didn't know. Someone had to have told her or showed her or whatever. You know, that's what I believe.
Okay. So, to be clear, when you say they, you identified 3 different groups of people. First group of people you identified as they were the people who were interviewing you, correct?
The interviewing team, whoever.
Okay. So the interviewing team, to your knowledge, is Renee, correct?
No, I believe Renee is part of the interviewing team. I believe Laquita Hoskins is part of the interviewing team. I believe there are different people within the interviewing team that maybe I did not have direct contact with that assisted Renee in what she was doing, because again, Renee said that she was new, she didn't know, and she was getting assistance from others so to help her along her way. So it had to be someone working and experienced within MPS. So there's a team that was assisting her. She led me to believe, and I believe James Gordon is part of that team. Was part on the other side, not in actually in the HR, in the interviewing team, but I believe he was on the other side. He was able to provide my file because my
Okay.
other file is supposedly in a basement in a crate because I retired.
Okay. So to be clear, my question was, who was a part of the interviewing team?
I have no idea. I know Renee was, and I know I had direct contact with Laquita. So that contact, she was part of the testing, interviewing process. So I'm sure, and because she had the notes and was reading from the notes, she had to have been part of something as far as the interview goes.
Okay, you also testified. So I'm just trying to understand your testimony, make sure that I have it here clear. So you believe it's Renee Laquita as part of the interviewing team, correct?
That's part of the interviewing team, yes.
Okay. And
Some of the those who I had direct contact with, but I'm sure are others that I haven't. That was part of the team.
okay. And then you also said there was a team from employee relations,
I believe
and that includes
employee relations was involved.
and that includes Mr. Gorton.
Absolutely.
Okay. And then you also said that the upper level management and building operations had a hand in this, correct?
I believe that they had a part. There was some type of communication between them.
Okay. And you're basing this on what?
I'm basing it on the email that Laquita sent that said that they looked in my file.
You base it, I'm sorry, let me go ahead and go back. Do you see in here, and this is the email that you're referring to. Do you see in here the statement, they looked in your file?
She said the decision was based on the interview results and review of your file when you were a former employee. My files are confidential and my files are locked away.
Miss Tate. It was a simple yes or no question.
Okay, go ahead. Ask it again, please.
Do you see in the highlighted portion of the August 28th email a statement that says they looked in your file?
No.
Okay, thank you. Then, as the exchange, I'm going to turn your attention back to the exchange, August 28th. This is all the information that I was provided in the interview notes. I was not given specific details. Do you see that?
Yes.
Your response to that was who wrote the interview notes. Based on the person who interviewed me, she said I did well and then told me the next step. So I'm interested to know what was written. Do you see that?
Yes, I see that. I read that. I read that.
Okay, and that's an accurate representation of what you wrote back to Ms. Hoskin?
That's exactly what I wrote back.
Okay. And her response is, that is all the information I can provide. I'm sorry that this did not work out for you, correct?
Exactly.
All right. So there's nowhere in that string of emails does Laquita Hoskin identify that there was a series of conversations between an interview panel or an interview team and employee relations team and a building operations team that discussed your employment, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. One more question. It's going back to R10. And again, I'll represent to you that these are handwritten notes that Renee Slotin-Beauchamp took from your August 19, 2021 interview.
Mm-hmm.
You see at the bottom here where it says do not hire?
Yes.
Is there an X?
There is.
Okay. I'm gonna bring your attention to post dated of this. Discuss your present employment. Through your present employment with Talent Brigade? Bridge. Sorry, thank you. For whatever reason, Brigade was in my mind. You testified that you received, I believe you said $3 to $4 less than other employees.
Yes, the temp agency gets less than the regular employee.
Yeah, I'm just making sure that your testimony was that as a temp agency employee, you receive $3 to $4 less than a MPS employee.
I don't know the exact amount that entry level was getting because I didn't get hired, but I know what I was getting at the temp agency, and it was $12.
It was $12.
It's $12. It was 11, whatever, but at Vincent High School it was 50 cents a dollar more because of the production at Vincent. So that kitchen got the temp agency, the temp workers got more to work in that production kitchen.
Now, when did you apply? I believe you previously testified that you applied almost immediately. Is that correct?
Yes, I applied in September of 2021.
You worked there continuously since September of 2021?
No, I applied at Talent Bridge and was hired in September of 2021. I didn't go until October 11th.
So is your testimony here today that you've worked from October 11, 2021 through the present?
No, I was I'm employed by them, but during Christmas, the temps we don't work, and at the schools because school is out, and then the summer and Easter break. So whenever school is out for the students, the temps we don't work. Sometimes the MPS employees work. They'll go to another school because all the schools, a lot of times we're not all closed at the same time. We have early start traditional, and so some people will go to a different school. But the temp agency staff, if you want to stay working or assigned to an MPS building, if there's no student attendance, you don't go. So I didn't go Christmas break. I didn't go Easter, summer. Yeah.
Aside for those assigned school breaks, did you work every other opportunity that you could have?
That I could have. That I could have.
Okay. So
Personal days I didn't go, but
there was never a time period where you were not working that was not assigned to a school break. Is that what you're testifying here today?
no.
One final question for you. Do you, or I shouldn't say one final because we are, in fact, lawyers, and sometimes we have one question prompts several questions. You testified that you were familiar with an Ernestine Rayford who was hired after you, or was hired as a direct employee of MPS, correct?
Correct.
And you alluded earlier to the fact that in one of your discovery responses is that Ernestine Rayford did not score as high as you on the test, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Do you know if Ernestine Rayford had an interview?
She said she did.
She said she did have an interview.
She did. She said she did have an interview.
Okay. Carol Bell, you also testified as an individual who was hired as a direct employee from MPS after you were not offered a position. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. Did you talk to Carol Bell about her hiring process?
She told me that she was hired in February and that she did not have an interview. She has no experience. She's a retired factory worker. She
Okay.
had no experience.
Are you familiar with the fact that MPS had changed the interview process or changed the hiring process for food service assistants after you applied?
No.
Have you thought about applying again for MPS position?
Have I thought about applying again?
Correct.
No.
Right.
No, I haven't.
And that's despite the fact that, as you previously testified, you say that they get paid $3 to $4 more per hour.
I haven't considered reapplying.
Finally, just for clarification, during settlement proceedings in the previous ERD case, not the one that's at issue here. The previous case, you testified that Judge Wasserman stated to keep an eye out, or if you're going to apply for a job that you are objectively qualified for, to file a retaliation complaint right away if you don't get it, correct?
She said that, yes.
Okay. Now, is it your testimony here today that you were objectively qualified for this position?
Yes.
Your position here that the interview, you know what? No, I'll strike that. I'll restrike that question, and I'll give the witness back.
All right, Attorney Hitchcock-Cross, do you have any additional questions for Ms. Tate?
Yes, just a few.
Do you need to take a break, Ms. Tate, to grab some water or something?
I have some, thank you.
Okay.
Then we'll just try to keep this short. There were some questions before about the notes from the interview, and you were asked generally were those questions read out to you. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Were those questions read out to you verbatim or exactly?
No. It was a casual interview. It just wasn't read word for word off that paper.
Okay. And there was also some discussion about you having the option to have health care at some point. Is that right?
Yes. If hired.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So you would have had the option to, that meant to you that you would have had, if you had been hired for working at MPS as opposed to the temp firm, you would have had health care.
Yes.
Okay.
She was going to provide me the number of hours that I was requesting so that I could get the health care.
Okay. Do you have health care now?
Yes.
How do you have health care now?
Through the state.
Okay. And do you pay for that out of your own pocket?
No, but I haven't used it either.
Okay. But in other words, it doesn't come from your employer.
No, it does not.
Okay. Now, there is a document that had interview notes. Did you see that before?
Yes.
Okay. Sure. Judge, this is just in our exhibit, we just had it also in there called interview notes. I think you might find it easier on the respondents.
I think it's respondents 10.
It's respondents 10, sure. All we're looking for is the last page where it says do not hire.
Okay, just 1 second.
Oh, great. Okay. Do you see that document, Ms. Tate?
Yes.
Okay. And there's an X where it says do not hire. Is that correct?
Yes.
Is there also something else underneath that X?
No. What would be under?
Well, is there a discoloration or some other smudge or something like
Yes.
that? Okay, can you account for what that might be?
No,
No, okay,
highlight? No.
okay. Then, let's go. Did you discuss whether or not let's say, Miss Rayford and Miss Bell had conducted interviews with them?
Did I discuss with them?
Yes. Okay, and did you know that they hadn't conducted interviews?
Ms. Rayford says she had an interview and she informed the interviewer that she had no experience except at family barbecues. And she was hired. And Miss Carroll said that she did not have an interview, but on her application, she let them know that she had no experience.
Okay, and you were doing the same work as Miss Bell and Miss Rayford at the same time, correct?
I am.
Okay, and you've not been reprimanded for your work performance, is that right?
No,
Okay, and have you been praised for your work performance there?
absolutely.
Okay, are you capable of doing the job directly for MPS?
Oh, yes.
Okay, has anybody at MPS ever offered you the job in any other capacity than in a temporary position?
The manager asked me why won't I apply, and I didn't respond.
Okay. But the manager didn't offer you the job, correct?
No, she did not.
Okay. Well, thank you. I'll pass the witness.
Do you have anything else, Attorney Headley, for Ms. Tate?
Briefly, you said she says that she would work with me to get the hours. Who is she?
The interviewer, Miss Renee, I informed her that I wanted to work on, she asked me how many hours I wanted to work. I told her I wanted to work the minimum amount needed to receive medical insurance. That's
Okay,
5.5 to 6 a day.
okay. No, that's fine. I was confused as to what the question was, and the answer was even more confusing because I didn't understand the question. So I appreciate your clarity if that's what you were testifying to. So it wasn't in regards to your previous employment and getting enough hours, sick time hours banked for you to get the retirement health insurance?
No, there was nothing I could do once I used them for my mother. I would have to work another 20 years to get those hours back.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to verify that I understood your answer correctly.
Okay.
Judge, if I could have a minute to confer with my client beforehand?
Sure, we can go off the record. Back on the record, then, Attorney Headley, did you have any more questions for Ms. Tate?
We'll just go through just one final one.
Okay.
Are we back on?
Yep.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. I'm used to it. All right. Ms. Tate, just one final question for you. I'm going to bring back up for you Exhibit 10, Respondents Exhibit 10. These are the interview notes, and we've had several different questions about them. I want to know what in these interview notes, as they exist here, shows you or tells you that Miss Slotin-Beauchamp looked at your file.
That she looked at from the interview notes?
Correct.
There's nothing from the interview notes that says she looked at my file.
Okay. Thank you.
Something in the decision, when the decision was made, it says that they looked at my files.
But to be clear, there's nothing in the interview notes that Miss Slotin-Beauchamp wrote that you did not provide to her orally during your interview.
Correct.
Okay. That was that.
Anything else, Attorney Hitchcock-Ross?
No, thank you, Judge.
All right. So then, while you, Attorney Headley, and Mr. Gorton were talking, Attorney Hitchcock-Ross wanted to know if we wanted to take a break at this point. It's a little bit before noon. I don't know who his next witness is, how long they're going to take, but I don't know if, otherwise we can just keep going on. I don't know if the parties, if you guys want to take a short break or just want to keep going.
I prefer to keep
I think if we're, I mean, are we on the, do you want to just discuss off the record real quick? For
I can go
purposes
off
of-
the record, sure.